iPhone spying warning, 17 signs your data is compromised. Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you 17 warning signs that your iPhone might be compromised and someone could be spying on your data. If you notice any of these signs, your privacy could be at risk. So, make sure to watch this video till the end, and let's get started. Alright, so let's start with some visual cues. The first thing I'd recommend is to keep a close eye on the very top of your screen. If you see a little orange dot, that means your microphone is currently in use. If you see a little green dot, that means either your camera and your microphone are currently in use. These are iOS features designed to give you a heads up when apps are accessing these sensitive components. Now, if you see these dots and you're not on a call, you're not using FaceTime, or any app that requires your microphone or camera, that's a serious red flag. It could indicate that someone is using your microphone or camera to spy on you. Think about it. Why would your camera be active if you're just scrolling through your emails or checking your social media feeds? It's a clear sign something's not right. So keep a close watch for those indicators. If you see them when you shouldn't, immediately close all apps and restart your phone. And if it happens again, it's time to dig deeper. Now let's dive into your phone's settings. Open up the Settings app on your device. Scroll down to very bottom until you find Apps drawer. Tap on that. Here, head over to the P section. Select Phone Settings. Inside the phone settings, if you see any devices listed here that you don't recognize, maybe it's a computer, a tablet, or even another phone, it means your calls might be forwarded to those devices. Just toggle them off to prevent this. It's like having an unauthorized extension on your phone line, allowing someone else to listen in on your conversations. Also, while you're in the phone settings, check call forwarding. Since my iPhone is currently out of cellular reach, therefore, forwarding option isn't showing up. If this is turned on and you didn't do it, turn it off immediately. Again, this is another way someone could listen in on your calls. These settings are often overlooked, but they're crucial for your privacy. It's like having a back door open to your private conversations. Let's move on to your messages. Go back to the main settings menu and tap on Messages. Here, check if you see any unfamiliar devices listed. Simply turn them off. If not, someone could be getting copies of all your text messages. Imagine someone reading all your private conversations. Not a good feeling, right? They could be seeing your sensitive information, your personal secrets, or even your bank verification codes. Now let's check your location services. Go back to the main settings menu, tap on Privacy and Security, then Location Services. Look through the list of apps for any small arrows next to them. These arrows indicate that an app has been using your location. If you see an arrow next to an app you haven't used recently, tap on it and change the location access to Never. This will prevent that app from tracking your location. Location data is incredibly valuable, and you need to control who has access to it. Think about it. Do you really want every app knowing where you are at all times? Next, let's check your battery usage. Go back to the main settings menu. Tap on Battery. Here, you'll see which apps have been using the most battery. If you see any apps you haven't used but are still draining your battery, they might be spyware. Spyware often runs in the background, consuming resources without your knowledge. They can be constantly sending data, recording audio, or tracking your activity. Consider deleting those apps entirely. It's better to be safe than sorry. Let's check the devices logged into your iCloud account. Go back to the main settings menu and tap on your name at the top. Scroll down and you'll see a list of devices logged into your iCloud. If you see any devices you don't recognize, tap on them and remove them. These devices could be used to track your location, access your information, and more. It's like having an open door to your personal data, and you want to make sure only trusted devices have access. Apple claims to prioritize privacy, but if it were truly automatic, why are there so many privacy settings on your iPhone? Plus, your device is packed with third-party apps that could access your data in unexpected ways, thanks to Apple Intelligence. Let's start with a setting so secure that Apple didn't even inform users when they silently turned it on in October 2024. For the sign number 1. First, open Settings, then scroll all the way down and tap on Apps. Next, use the search bar at the top and type Photos. Select the main Photos app, and at the bottom, you'll find Enhanced Visual Search. I'm not a fan of Apple rolling out features that upload my photos even if they're encrypted and then analyzing them, so I'm turning this off. This might also help save some battery life. Let's go for the sign number 2. Move on to a setting that was supposed to fix all our messaging issues. Let's go there first, and I'll explain what the issue is. Tap back to Apps in the upper left corner, then head to the search bar. Tap the X to clear photos, type Messages or just Mess, and open the Messages app. Now scroll down and tap RCS messaging to check if it's turned on. Here on the screen, the option is not available due to network issue. But if got one, then follow steps. I'm not saying you should turn it off, but here's something important to know. While RCS messaging is encrypted between Android devices, it is not encrypted when sending messages between an Android and an iPhone. So in reality, it hasn't improved privacy between iPhones and Androids, at least not yet. For now, keep RCS messaging on, but just be aware that it's not as secure as iMessage. For the sign number 3, let's talk about Apple Intelligence. I'd recommend keeping Apple Intelligence on because it unlocks some really useful features. However, Apple wants all the apps on your iPhone to work seamlessly together. But for that to happen, apps need to share data with each other. The real question is, do you want your banking app to have the ability to share information with Facebook? Now, I'm not saying this is happening, but it's easy to imagine a future where companies know exactly when you get paid and start bombarding you with ads for expensive products. If I were a Facebook advertiser, I'd definitely be thinking about ways to make that happen. Again, I'm not saying it is happening, but why take the risk? Let's shut that down. For the sign number 4. Now let's move on to the next important privacy setting and tap on Search. Then make sure the switch next to Help Apple Improve Search is turned off. Why disable this? Because I don't want Apple storing my search history from Safari, Siri, and Spotlight, even if they claim it's not personally linked to me. No thanks. Next, for the sign number 5. Tap back to Settings in the upper left corner, scroll all the way to the top, and tap on your name at the top. Now, select Sign In and Security. Here, you'll see your emails and phone numbers listed at the top. If there's any number or email you don't recognize, tap on it, remove it immediately, and change your password right away. Next, for the sign number 6, and scroll down to iCloud. Open it up, and at the top, you might see a suggestion. In my case, my iPhone is asking me to enable iCloud Private Relay, which is a feature I actually pay for, but I still choose to keep it off. The issue with big tech companies isn't just that they want your money, it's that they want access to as much of your data as possible. And what better way to get it than through your phone? They're not just selling a product, they're selling you. But if you really want to keep your online activity private, there's a way to do it. And it's something I use every single day. Now for the sign number 7, let's move on to another important setting. I'll tap back in the upper left corner to return to the main settings page. From here, I'll scroll down and tap on Privacy and Security. Next, we're going to use a feature that at first I wasn't a huge fan of, but over time, it's actually become one of my favorite privacy tools on the iPhone. Scroll down to Safety Check and tap on it. Now tap Manage Sharing and Access. This setting is great because it simplifies what used to be a long and frustrating process. If you see a name you don't recognize or someone you haven't spoken to in a long time, it's a good idea to review what you're sharing. This is one of the best ways to take control of your privacy and ensure that only the right people have access to your information. All right, let's keep going. Once I've stopped sharing with one person, I'm immediately taken to the next. If I see something I no longer want to share, like photos, I'll tap Stop Sharing. Next, for the sign number 8. I'll tap Continue. One thing I really love about this feature is how Apple has changed the way you manage your data. Instead of grouping everything by category, like location, Bluetooth, microphone, and so on, everything is now organized by app. This makes so much more sense because typically I know which apps I trust and which ones I don't. And when I decide to cut off access, I want to shut down all permissions for an app at once, rather than going through multiple menus. Now I'll scroll down and take a look at some apps. Once I've selected the apps, I'll tap Stop App Access, and that's it. My phone is now more secure and I have full control over what apps can and can't access. Now that we've locked down app permissions, it's time to review the devices connected to my Apple account. Next, for the sign number 9, I'll tap Continue and take a quick scroll through the list. The goal here is simple. Make sure every device is one I actually own and use. If something looks off, like an old device I forgot to remove or something unfamiliar, it's worth investigating. Everything checks out, so I'll tap Skip. Now, Apple suggests updating my Apple ID password. Changing your password is always a good security practice, but let's be honest, it's also a bit of a hassle. If you want to lock things down even further, go ahead and update it. As for me, I'll tap Update Later in Settings and move on. Next, Emergency SOS. This section lists the people I trust to be contacted in an emergency. I'll take a quick look to confirm everything's up to date and then tap Continue. With that, the safety check is complete. I'll tap Done, and that's it. This entire process is much simpler than it used to be. Next, for the sign number 10. Let's go back to Settings. Apple does a great job of protecting privacy, but that doesn't mean I want to be constantly sending usage data to Apple and app developers. So I'll scroll down and tap on Analytics and Improvements. At the top of the screen, I'll turn off the main switch to stop sharing diagnostic data. Then I'll go through the rest of the list and turn off every other switch as well. Toggle all of the option, make sure you are unauthorized. Done. Not only does this improve privacy, but it also saves battery life since my phone is doing less work collecting and transmitting background data. Tap back in the upper left corner to return to the previous menu. Next, for the sign number 11, tap Apple Advertising and turn off the switch next to Personalized Ads to stop Apple from using your data to target ads. Next, for the sign number 12. Now let's go back to the main settings page by tapping back twice. Scroll all the way down and tap Apps. This time we're heading back into Messages, so tap on that. Now, scroll down to Text Message Forwarding and tap on it. Here, the option is not available on the screen due to the network issue maybe, but you'll see a list of devices that have access to your text messages. Make sure you recognize all of them, because if a device you don't use is listed here, it could be receiving your messages. A similar issue can happen with your phone app, so let's check that next. Next, for the sign number 13. Tap back twice to return to Apps, then tap the X to close out of Messages. Now let's navigate to the phone app settings. Scroll down and tap Calls on other devices. Here, the option is not available on the screen due to the network issue maybe, but this section lists all the devices that can make and receive phone calls when your iPhone is nearby. This feature is convenient if you use multiple Apple devices, such as an iPad or Mac, allowing you to answer calls from any of them. However, if you see a device listed here that you don't recognize, it could mean someone else has access to your phone calls. Take a close look at this list and verify each device. If there's anything unfamiliar or a device you no longer use, simply toggle it off to remove access. Doing this ensures that your calls remain private and are only accessible from devices you trust. Once you've made any necessary changes, you can tap back to continue adjusting your security settings. Next, for the sign number 14. Now let's go back one more time. Tap back to return to Apps, then tap Cancel, and finally tap back to Settings. Next, let's open Face ID and Passcode. You'll need to enter your passcode to access these settings. Once you're in, scroll down until you find Require Attention for Face ID and make sure to turn it on. This feature is an important security measure that ensures your iPhone will only unlock when you're actively looking at it. That means your eyes must be open and directed towards the screen for Face ID to work. By enabling this, you add an extra layer of protection against unauthorized access. For example, if you're asleep, distracted, or someone tries to unlock your phone by holding it up to your face, Face ID won't work unless you're actively looking at the screen. This is particularly useful in preventing situations where someone might try to access your phone without your knowledge, whether it's a curious friend, a family member, or even a stranger attempting to unlock it. Next, for the sign number 15. Just below that, you'll find Stolen Device Protection. Tap on it, unlock your device using Face ID, Touch ID, or your passcode, and then switch it on. This feature is designed to protect you from anyone who might gain access to your phone's passcode, whether it's a stranger, a thief, or even someone close to you who may have ill intentions. When enabled, Stolen Device Protection adds a critical security delay to key account changes. If someone steals your phone and tries to change your Apple ID password, remove Find My iPhone, or reset your security settings, they won't be able to do so immediately. Instead, they will be forced to wait for 1 hour before making any major changes to your Apple account. This built-in delay is crucial because it gives you a chance to intervene before your data is compromised. During that time, you can quickly go to iCloud.com/find on another device and use the Find My app to remotely lock or erase your iPhone before the thief has a chance to take control of your account. If your phone was taken by someone you know, like a family member or friend, this extra time could also give you a chance to call for help or retrieve your device before any major damage is done. Next, for the sign number 16. Now, tap back in the upper left corner to return to the Settings menu. Then scroll all the way to the top and tap Family. This section manages family sharing, which allows family members to share purchases, subscriptions, iCloud storage, and even their locations. It's important to review this list carefully because being part of a family group means that certain information like app purchases and location data could be shared automatically. Take a moment to go through the list of family members and make sure you recognize everyone. If you see a name that looks unfamiliar or someone you no longer want in your family group, you may want to review and adjust the settings accordingly. Next, tap on Location Sharing to check if your location is being shared with family members. If there's someone you don't feel comfortable sharing your location with, you can disable location sharing for that person by tapping their name and adjusting the settings. This is a great way to maintain your privacy while still keeping certain trusted family members in the loop. Once you've reviewed and adjusted your family sharing settings, tap back in the upper left corner to return to the Settings menu, and let's continue securing your iPhone. Last but not the least, for the sign number 17. Now let's take an extra step to double-check your location settings in another section. Scroll down and tap Privacy and Security. Then tap Location Services followed by Share My Location. This section controls which apps and people can access your real-time location. Take a moment to review the list of people who have access to your location. If there's anyone you don't recognize or someone you no longer want to share your location with, simply remove them from the list by tapping on their name and selecting Stop Sharing My Location. This ensures that only trusted contacts can see where you are. In today's world, privacy is more important than ever. Apple provides many tools to help protect your data, but ultimately, you have to take control of your own security. By carefully reviewing your settings, managing who can access your information, and enabling features like Stolen Device Protection and Lockdown Mode, you can stay one step ahead of potential threats. While it's impossible to seal every gap, taking the right precautions can significantly reduce your risk and help you keep your personal data safe. Remember, your phone contains more than just contacts and messages. It holds personal photos, financial information, work-related documents, and even access to your online accounts. If the wrong person gets hold of it, the damage could be severe. That's why it's so important to be mindful of who has access to your data and to use all available security tools to keep your information safe. At the end of the day, we may not be able to stop every privacy invasion or eliminate every risk. But by taking smart precautions, we can minimize the chances of falling victim to hacking, tracking, or identity theft. So take a few moments today to review your settings and make sure your iPhone is as secure as possible. Your privacy is worth it. Stay safe, stay aware, and keep your digital world protected. That's all for this video. If you found this helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more privacy and security tips. See you in the next one.